Hello, welcome to Club IDIC. Today we will be watching Terra Nova from Star Trek Enterprise and discussing the dark side of exploration. Please enjoy this meeting. Hello.
Yes.
I've missed you.
You missed me, my dear Heather. It's only been a week.
Yes, but your presence is that meaningful. I mean that. That's genuine.
I hear you. I hear you.
So how is life for you? I hope it's well.
Yes, I see you like the pictures I took yesterday.
Yes, I hope that wasn't remiss.
Why?
Oh, you know, some people get weird when I like their stuff on social media.
No problem for me.
Good.
Yeah.
Did you like my Duke of York?
Oh, I was wondering why. I'm like, has this lady joined the Gregorians now?
No, that's my Duke of York.
Yeah, hold on. Let me
That play should be available for viewing in a couple of weeks. That
Mhm.
part of the play, anyway. There's two parts. But I mean, we might have a small crowd tonight because it is Mission Chicago. And of course, I didn't go.
Well,
I could have, but you know, the play kind of fell in the same area as Mission Chicago, and I had already committed to the play. I literally have this many roles, so it's not like I can take off.
yeah. Hold on a second. I pause this commercial.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously I'm not at Mission Chicago either.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I thought about it, but then the play came along and, you know, I like acting. It's relaxing and it's my area, and I got a ton of roles. Yeah. Like this many roles.
Any of them in front of a non-webcam?
No, but it's still very much acting. It's because we're doing this that way because of COVID and the numbers are going up again. So we have to be safe. You know, I mean, acting is all about exploration, and the dark side of exploration is you run into trouble if you do it carelessly. So even, you know, did you know there's a COVID-19 safe set thing, education for actors?
Really?
Yes, and I've taken it. It was around the time that I took the set etiquette course I found online. And they said, oh, there's this COVID-19 safe set international thing, and that's become a standard. So I found it and I took it, and it was free. Because if I ever get anywhere with the acting, I'd like to be able to have that under my belt, because education is important.
Okay. Well, I haven't done too much acting myself, not since last December.
Yeah. I guess we have something in common then, a little more in common, since I did that too. Or maybe you didn't see that photo.
What? Okay.
Of me dressed as a man in robes, looking ready, looking like I want to murder people.
Yeah, that's your King Lear outfit, if I'm not mistaken.
No, that's Louis the Dolphin and Chatillon from King John. But you know, acting is about exploration, and in these times especially, you have to do it safely. Otherwise, there's a dark side to it as well.
True, but you know, I'm thinking the most random thing right now.
What?
The Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon album.
That's true. And I suppose that could apply into tonight's discussion a little bit.
What? How Pink Floyd ain't put out anything since the Division Bell back in 1993?
No, like
No, and I'm obviously going. That's totally off topic. We're supposed to be talking about exploration physically and metaphysically.
no, like how the dark side of the moon thing, like the Novans found the planet. They were sick because of the planet, so they descended into the darkness underground to keep safe. And they didn't mind living in it. Well, it was eventually became dangerous too, so they had to fight for survival, and they became wary of the overworlders.
The underdwellers.
And you know, we've all got to be careful. We've all got to be careful. Did you know, fun fact, and I Googled this, so excuse me for sounding like a nerd. Terra Nova is Latin for new earth.
I read.
Yeah. I thought making a little narration in the event description make it fun and attractive.
Sounds like a Jeopardy question.
It's a captain's prerogative to make it that way. You know, I try.
You are the captain here, so no argument.
I try and make the events fun and attractive so that if people want to come, they can. And if I want to help people feel welcome.
True. And a word of advice is, right? Remember the last time you tried to host the event? Mind you, I already told you I wouldn't be able to make it. And I remember you had the biggest frowny face when nobody showed up for 15 minutes. I guess, I don't know. I wouldn't exactly call that the dark side of streaming.
It was a sad moment because I missed them. I did, I missed them. I'll admit it.
Are you the Borg Queen?
Am I the Borg Queen? I don't know. I mean, we talked about the Borg last week, about how the Borg likes to assimilate people and not really give them their freedom of choice. And I like to give people their freedom of choice, even if the choices people make tend to hurt them. So I don't think I'm the Borg Queen.
I mean, like you wish to be in a cacophony of voices. Instead of just hearing one voice, your own.
I think I'm a little too different to be the Borg Queen, and even in a cacophony, is that how you pronounce it? Cacophony? Even in a cacophony of voices, my voice stands out because I'm too different to fit into something so conform. I've tried. And I, you know, instead of grieving over being too different, you know, I have to take a little bit of joy out of it and try and make the best of it.
There you go.
There are stings, but I have to make them hurt less by looking at the good. And yeah, we have to look at the good in difficult things and difficult times, even if it's very hard.
Are you okay? All jokes aside.
Yes. I'm fine. How are you?
You're not just saying that because I'm here, are you?
I swear it. on Star Trek magazines. But how are you? Like, I see you going to movies a lot, and that's a good thing. I like it when you go to movies. You learn lots about things.
Well, you told that time I went to see the Batman.
Yeah. Makes me want to explore. It makes me want to, I know COVID's still a thing and it's probably always going to be a thing, but if I go on a trip by myself without people and go and see things without surrounding myself by tons of people, I think if I made a lot of arrangements in advance, I think I could go on such an interesting trip. I don't know. I have dreams. I could either return to California or even go to New York if I had access to a scooter of some point, just so I don't exceed my daily physical limits and exceed my body's limits. I think I'd be okay.
No. I'm serious. That worries me.
What?
How do I phrase this? You kind of remind me of Melora from that DS9 episode.
Well, I can walk up to 2 kilometers, a little less than 2, but I've done it. I do it here.
Because around my way, it's more than 2K.
Well, then you'll just have to come find me. Well, it's like I've always had to adapt and I'm not done adapting. And it's interesting, just because there's a complication with life, I don't have to be a Novan. I don't have to go underground and hide from it. I just have to adapt the way I live. And that's why I spent a year getting help from a team of specialists, actually, adjusting my diet and having physical therapy and understanding my pain and taking medications. So I could learn what?
Sorry, I interrupted your train of thought. Please finish.
And so I could learn how to adapt to this and wouldn't have to go underground and hide and stop living.
I was gonna ask, would you be able to work your way up to 3 kilometers?
Maybe with the rest. Not all at once, but with the rest. That's a bit of a long walk. Maybe if I took a bus part of the way.
So how is everything out there?
Out here, it's nice. It's a bit windy, but I was able to see my parents and my puppy today.
Yeah, I saw your mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So since we're talking about exploration, I'll just throw this out there. If they offer to, if they were to ask you to join a new space colony on an exoplanet, would you take advantage of the opportunity? Or you stay keeping your butt put on good old Earth?
Well, here's the thing, given how Earth is now with the fights and lack of accommodation for people like me, I think I'd take my chances.
Like the Great Wagon Trail people from the 19th century.
Because it's like, how else do people like me learn to grow unless we take our chances? And I know that might not be the correct answer or the answer you were looking for, but it's the answer I've got.
There are no right or wrong answers, except for dishonest ones.
Well, it's not a dishonest one. It's like, it's the answer I give because of my experiences. How else do people like me, do people with difficulties, with challenges, learn to grow unless we dare to take chances when they are presented to us. If I was invited to go be a Novan, would I dare to try it? Well,
To be a what now?
What?
They invited you to be a what?
Like a Novan, like go settle a deep space colony. Would I dare to take the chance? Probably, because this planet's got enough problems that it's not daring to resolve or wanting to resolve because it's uncomfortable. It's too uncomfortable to resolve the problem that's facing them today. They're just going to let the problem grow until we have, God forbid, sanctuary cities. They're just going to lock the problem away and hope it goes away on its own. And they're going to pretend the problem doesn't exist. They're going to tell the supposed problem people they're not welcome to belong with the typicals. And they're going to separate and marginalize people until there's so much anger and depression and resentment and sadness in this world that there will be nothing but broken people or ignorant people. Will be separated into two categories, the broken and the ignorant. So, you know, if there was a chance to go settle in deep space and start over and perhaps unite people, I would probably take it. And that is a lot of passion. If that's made you weird out, I apologize.
I'm Starfleet, dearie. Weird is part of the job.
Oh, was it the answer you wanted? Did I cover your bases of expectation?
Okay.
So this is an interesting thing. I don't know what prompted Starfleet to finally care about this colony after losing contact with it for so long, and they sent Archer.
Okay.
And it's interesting. How long has it been since you've seen this episode? Do you need a refresher first, or?
It's been a while since I've really watched Enterprise.
Mm-hmm. You have access to it?
Yeah, now I do. I think I said now I have Paramount Plus.
Okay.
Which is, to use the phrase, it's just the American way now.
Yeah, I don't think we have Crave and we have CTV Sci-Fi, and that is our Paramount Plus.
Yeah, I know yesterday I was trying to catch up with Picard. I'm not gonna say anything about it. Look at it yourself.
Well, that's okay. I haven't really had time to look at season 2. I've just been busy and tired. And
well, I know the tired part.
Well, I've read the spoilers. It's all right. But yeah, it's like, I'm glad you have Paramount Plus now, because I was worried about you.
And certain things I won't bring up since this is being recorded.
Yeah. Yeah.
And recycled into an IDIC episode.
Yeah. You can chat them to me if you want, though. So if you want, we can go ahead and watch, and you can get some thoughts into your mind.
Okay.
That was a fascinating episode. This is actually one of my favorite episodes of season 1.
Yeah. Well, I will say this about the first season of Enterprise. You see the growing pains that they go through. Even look like Next Generation, hell, even the original series, how they pretty much Kirk and then Picard has all the answers. But Archer and those guys are literally winging it.
Yeah, but here's the thing. They seem to get into a lot of trouble with other cultures and other worlds. They didn't learn anything from when Trip got pregnant, obviously. They literally, Trip got pregnant. He ended up interfering with another culture, and then they go and do it again with this. And only this time it's Malcolm that ended up a hostage. They're like literally the screwball crew.
And besides, hey, I go flip mode too. I was stuck on the ground for 70 years.
Yeah, well, Archer got a little emotion saying, if I can't make first contact with humans, he got emotional. Like, honestly, he kept getting emotional. Like, why won't they just come back to Earth and re-assimilate? They're humans. They should do that. It's
Oh
like,
yeah, no, funny
understand
thing,
them.
when I was listening to that, I can imagine like us, for example, going back to the 1500s and think like when the explorers from Europe visited North America, and oh, we're gonna take these people, we're gonna show them the Christian ways.
Yes.
No,
This is why I'm against assimilation and conformity.
Yeah.
Because assimilation and conformity takes away diversity, and diversity helps us appreciate the uniqueness. And everybody is lovely for their uniqueness, and we should appreciate everybody's uniqueness to the point where we help them feel welcome and wanted and loved. But
Yeah.
we don't.
Besides which, you can offer, my experience, you can offer, it's up to them to accept or reject. As even to Paul, trying to remind Archer of that.
Well, but Archer, he's only human.
Mm-hmm.
Has a very, very, very high standard as to what humans and what all humans should be like. God forbid they have diverse ideas, right?
Yeah.
And
But hey,
diverse
that's the
ways they
thing.
want to live.
You first.
God forbid that humans have a diverse way they want to live and feel and think and exist, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Jake, you look like you want to say something.
Yes, Jake. Open floor.
Well, so I don't know. I just I think it's like very early on in the human exploration of space. So, and they haven't quite learned everything that they needed to learn yet. So I know we humans, we've been making like the same mistakes and dealing with like other countries for like the last like 100 years. You'd think we would learn our lesson, but we we don't seem to be able to. But so that's kind of like one of my first points. But and I think Archer had despite being emotional, he got probably a little more worked up than he should have been. But I think he had a good point that if he can't make first contact with humans who have a lot of shared history and culture, then he can't make first contact with anyone else who are drastically different from who they find who from the Novans.
Yeah. And I guess at that point, they already had their own distinctive identity and culture.
Mm-hmm.
They call themselves Novans instead of humans. So check this out, Jake. I was talking with Heather earlier before you got here. Like, none of these people who went on the Conestoga, oh my God, the historical irony is something else in here. Like, if they were to, humanity were to establish a colony out there, would you hop on the ship and go to God knows what?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't have I know that's a cop-out answer, but I'm not sure. I mean, I was just thinking like the other day about, well, if Elon Musk is successful and he establish a colony on Mars, would I go? I don't know. I mean, yes, being able to walk on another world, that would be awesome. But on the other hand, I would miss my nature walks and other stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know, because Heather was like, sign me up. You're like, I don't know.
Well, you know, it's like we're talking about relating to other humans, and we already have enough trouble doing that, where there's enough indifference and racism and sexism and bigotry in the world. Like, we have enough trouble respecting other cultures and ethnicities and diversity itself and disabilities and everything else. We can't even respect different genders and different ethnicities, religions, everything else. We can't do that. So we don't respect each other in terms of humanity. So maybe we do need some time apart from each other, and we do need space exploration so we can learn to appreciate what we have, because maybe what's out there is a little less comfortable. I mean, God forbid that we learn to be less comfortable and learn to grow, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think one thing I know, exploring is exploring and trying to learn new things and adaptive things, but I don't know about eating space armadillo.
Can you even eat that?
No, that's the little creatures that they have in there, and they fed it to Malcolm.
Hey, you know, if it has protein and it's not going to poison me, okay, sure. I have a survivalist friend. He's gone out into the woods or up in the mountains for like 50 days with like a knife and like a few other things. And they expected him to work to survive. But he's eaten ants, grasshoppers, all
Well, they
kinds
have
of other things.
protein. So yeah, of course you can eat them. They're safe to eat. I know this guy, and you'll be totally grossed out, Anthony. But
Try me.
I was a little kid and I went to this school. There was this guy from this nearby town where I lived that used to put bugs into cookies and other baked goods. We call them the bug man. I mean, the bugs were perfectly safe to eat. They were killed first before they were put into baked goods, and everybody loved it. I loved it.
Okay, so that's a unique recipe.
It was good.
Man,
Jake
I don't know,
totally
sounds
gets
like
it.
something from Fear Factor.
Well, okay, do you really want me to go into what I did right before pandemic? I really ate some gross stuff, and that's all on video. You can look at the tapes. And I did it for a
You can put that on the
$50
YouTube
Amazon
channel.
gift card. I ate 13 different gross things for a $50 Amazon gift card in a game.
Yep, Fear Factor.
But you know, I'm like, you
Yeah,
know,
here we go, kids. For snack time, we're gonna have chocolate ant cookies. Dig in.
well, my little brother ate an earthworm once when he was little.
Wherefore without salt?
No, he just ate it off the ground.
Okay, I guess this was Survivor. That would make a lot more sense.
No, he was paid a quarter for it.
Money well spent.
And I ate some yellow little, I ate some little yellow worms with some lines on them for Fear Factor one.
She's touching the gob. Jake, she's eating gob.
Jake finds it cool, doesn't he? Don't you, Jake?
Yeah, I don't have issues. I've never eaten weird things, but then again, I don't, if I had to, I probably would. I mean, if it's a difference, so if the difference between me surviving or not is my ability to eat ants, I'm going to eat ants.
Well, I mean, like sometimes if you're in a difficult situation and there's very little to eat, you have to find the things to eat. Oh, don't you dare throw up on call.
I have not. So now I'm gonna say something to upset animal lovers. But if you were in a third world country, there was no living thing other than your cat or your dog, what would you do? Well, I know you smack me for this. I'll fry up Fido if I have to.
Well, you know, that's a thing over in certain countries. So I personally wouldn't, because I love my dog and the cats that my parents have. So I personally wouldn't. I would find some sort of, because there's always, you know, there's like different plants and things you can eat. And Jake has a cat he's very attached to, so I don't think he'd do that either. Oh, do we get to see baby today?
Or baby ain't coming today, I don't know.
Here's baby.
Yeah, baby's like, what is this?
Oh, she
are
wants a
they
snuggle.
snuggling me?
No, I couldn't imagine eating a pet. That's just too much.
You should
No,
see
but
some of these ads that the vegan groups put out. Like, what's the difference between a pet and a meal?
well, you know, my dad used to be a livestock hauler, and there are certain, like, livestock is raised, a lot of it for food. And that's something you have to understand.
I don't know. Would you take your pet cow to school with you? Okay, so I guess my point is you have to go out into the stars to see freakiness. You get enough of that right here.
Like, certain things are pets and certain things are food. That's what you have to understand.
So let me throw this at you then. Since talking about the dark side of stuff, I'll try to tie it into our discussion, but remember it's like the German GSG-9 counter-terrorist group? Part of their training is they have a pet chicken that they have to know and love and care for a month.
Chickens lay eggs, so you keep the chicken alive until it grows old enough where it can no longer lay eggs.
But they have to cook it in a month.
I know. How
So-
many eggs can a chicken lay in a month?
I think we're missing the point here. I mean, they form a psychological connection only to realize they have to kill the bird later. I guess the same seems like hesitancy, and I can see these under how many movies have I seen about underground cave dwelling people who look weird and take non-weird looking humans hostage? And for a minute there, I thought they were like lizard aliens. You go to this planet to set up your new home, and that happens. An asteroid, like they said, the asteroid didn't kill them outright. Probably would have been more merciful. But to me, have all that radiation poisoning, oh my God. It's like Chernobyl, but
well, I think it was the water
else.
as well.
Yep, that's what the doctor said. So they all have radiation poisoning.
And, you know, I think the Enterprise took time to cure them as well before they left. They had to, I'm sure. I don't think the Prime Directive,
that to the viewer's imagination.
Yeah, I don't think the Prime Directive existed yet, even if it did. Wow.
No, this is Enterprise. Remember one episode when they had to deal with something? I forgot what it was. I haven't seen this series in years. Archer's like, maybe one day we'll have a directive about how to deal with aliens.
Yeah, but it's not like they would have left them in their current state anyway. Archer's too compassionate for that. Phlox is too compassionate for that.
Well, did this say the Nobulans willing to medically save anybody?
Yeah. But you can't blame the Novans for being scared when they first saw Archer and the away team, can you? Because they probably hadn't seen humans in a long time, and they're like, oh, these are the enemy. These are people coming to hurt us. We have to shoot them and get them out of here, right?
Yeah. Well, they haven't seen another human in how long? And you heard the message that they played back from the governor of the colony.
Mm-hmm.
And remember how they said, "Why didn't we just send the Vulcan ship?" And they're like, "Please send the Vulcan ship."
Yeah. Yeah, like I'm sure they asked for help quite a bit, but the radiation messed up the pleas for help. And so the Novans thought they were truly alone. And they're like, okay, nobody cares about us. Nobody's going to help us. We have to find our own way out here. And it's very hard to find one's own way when you're dealing with the feelings of supposedly being rejected by everyone and feeling as if nobody cares about you. And you have to, it's called emotional resilience, and that's very hard to find if you've got the feelings of, if you feel like nobody cares about you and you're on your own trying to deal with survival, you have to find emotional resilience, and that's hard to feel. That's hard to find when you've also got the feeling of drowning in a situation as well.
I take it you've been there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In our world, there are courses actually to learn emotional resilience. There are courses, there are therapists, although therapists are kind of hard to find in the time of COVID-19.
No, they exist.
They're hard to find if you're in a certain state where you don't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
But there are
But
courses.
then again, I am in a huge population center.
Mm-hmm. Like if you're in a lesser population center, it's difficult to connect with therapists, especially if you're on social assistance.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also emotional resilience courses you can take online. You might have to do a little bit of research, but there's things like that can help you help yourself.
If you're willing to go through with it.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing, let me see, in between Enterprise and Next Generation, it takes 200 years for them to put a psychological counselor on a vessel.
And by that time, we see in TOS that the Starfleet and the Federation has been formed, and they've been through a lot of wars. Like you see through Mr. Styles, he wasn't in a war, but he had relatives who were in the war, and those scars carried over to him, and that's why he was a bigot towards Mr. Spock.
And all the other Starfleet captains who went cuckoo. I don't know, 200 years of whack jobs to make Starfleet Command realize they need to care about the mental health of their crews as well as the physical health.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And obviously these people from the Novans have been mentally deranged. But hey, if I had lived in a cave 24/7 for 70 years, I'd go batty too.
Yeah, I hope they had a happy ending, but you're right. So many captains and crews, and especially those who were who witnessed what happened to Captain Pike. If you witnessed your captain crippled by Delta rays, my God, you lose your mind, wouldn't you? To witness someone so decorated, so wonderful, just being crippled after he sacrificed everything to get you to safety, you'd be just a wreck. You'd think, oh, it's my fault. I should have stayed and helped him, but I ran like a coward.
Okay, episode cross-reference. You have looked at the two-parter from the original called The Menagerie.
And I'm also thinking about, we saw bits of it in Discovery as well. If you remember.
Which season?
Pike's season, when he went to get the crystal, they showed bits of it.
Yeah.
It was
You first, Jake.
season 2. I think it was like episode 9 or 10 or something. I think it was episode 9. But, yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I can't stomach the first season, the Discovery. Part 3 was good. Season 3 was good. I just gotta catch up one more episode to catch up with season 4.
Yeah.
But I
Well,
have looked at all the Picards.
and then to have someone like Lorca hop over from the mirror universe and infiltrate. No wonder people needed counselors by the time of the next generation, you know?
So in some ways, Dr. Culver kind of filled the role of counselor a little bit.
A little bit, but you know, I'm not shooting you down, but it's like they needed a specific counselor, not someone who was CMO and counselor. They needed someone who could specifically focus on the mental health.
A dedicated counselor.
So yeah, I don't disagree.
Because mental health and medical health are two very different things that need very different attentions and treatments. And perhaps certain missions and certain crews would have had an easier time had they had counselors. Like in Enterprise, perhaps Malcolm wouldn't have felt possessed or compelled to go and betray his crew to Section 31. Had there been a counselor, he could have, Chef tried to be a counselor, but he was a chef. Maybe I'm just getting too deep.
Oh, you talking about that god-awful final episode of Enterprise?
Well, no, I'm talking a few episodes before when Malcolm made the decision to betray his crew for the sake of Section 31.
Remember, it's a funny thing how they explain the origins, like paragraph 12, section 31 in the Earth Charter says that we can have this secret intelligence agency.
That's true. But it's literally, I would have never guessed that it'd be Malcolm. Like, he seems a sweet, shy little boy who's scared and had a troubled past, but then he goes and does that, and it's like his innocence gone. You know, it's sad, you know. You see, especially once the Xindi strikes, you see the Enterprise crew lose their innocence as they explore space.
No, I want to hang out with the insect people.
And then shortly after they get back to Earth on their final thing.
Boy, they find the guy.
War.
You first.
Sorry, like shortly after they get back to Earth, as far as I've researched it, the Earth Romulan War breaks out and everything goes to hell in a handbasket.
Well, that would have made for a real season 5 if we ever had a season 5. We would have seen the Earth Romulan War.
It would have, like, it would have been a very good season, but I almost wonder if that should be its own series. Because there's many subplots that could come from that. Like, you know, they could start with the end of the episode and then it could just progress into the war and just play out interestingly. I don't know, though. I'm not a showrunner, I'm not a producer, but maybe I should be.
Yeah. Am I the only one who's trying to figure out what's with all that hate for the Kurtzman universe?
I'm not sure exactly what the Kurtzman universe includes. You're going to have to educate me.
anything that was produced by, because the way I see it, there are like 3 Star Trek universes. We have the Roddenberry universe, which would be the first 5 or 6 Star Trek series, the original, the animated, the Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise. Excuse me, that'll be like the Roddenberry Berman universe. Then you have the J.J. Abrams universe and the Kurtzman universe, all the shows he's been producing.
I just watch what Star Trek I feel like watching, and anybody who disses me for it can mind their own business.
To put it nicely.
People aren't going to tell me what Star Trek I can and can't enjoy.
Yeah, remember this? I remember when back in the 1980s when the Next Generation came out, people were like, oh, that's not real Star Trek. It doesn't have Captain Kirk. Well, number one, that was 50-something years ago. Half the crew is dead now.
Yeah, that's sad.
They're old. Will Shatner turned 91. Aurora's 90 and she's getting dementia.
Oh, she was so lovely to me.
Well, I think I said we have that in common. I do have the autographs of all 4 of the surviving original cast.
I prefer pictures because then I can look at them and remember.
Yeah, and for those of you who have to have, I'm not to sound like a commercial, but if you have to have your TOS action, right, and find other weirder looking colonies, just look at Strange New Worlds next month.
That might be fun. We'll see.
Yeah, for like those of you who you just, like I know Discovery, right? I know they try to go into psychological stuff. I don't know. I actually really should sit down, look at season 2 with that whole Red Angel, whatever that was.
I think I'm related to Ethan Peck through my mother, actually.
Did you say that already?
I did. Yeah, there's this site where you can see what famous people you're related to. It's called Relative Finder.
Hmm.
And you can trace it through Ancestry. And yeah, I did some tracing. Yeah, I know. It's an interesting site. Yeah, and interestingly enough, tracing is pretty much what the Enterprise crew did in this episode. They traced history.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always so convenient. They always got access to the database where they can find anything on anything.
Well, I mean, computers are so much more advanced than you have to remember.
Yes.
And even though they're probably way more advanced than the time of like the future Enterprises and Deep Space Nine and Discovery, they were still pretty advanced then, and they would have old databases. Like their libraries are probably a lot different, even in that time period.
Yes, and we still got these primitive rockets.
Yeah, well, and so they were confused by what they saw. They had to research what they saw, and they literally had to research the transmissions. They had to, of course, they found out where Malcolm was, and all of a sudden, when they realized this one Novan had cancer, they're like, oh, we can leave Malcolm in a cave. He'll be fine. Let's go help this Novan instead. What's that about? I've heard people talk about this in the fan forums. What's that about? Did they really leave their crewman with a bullet in his
As a
leg?
gesture of goodwill. No, just to convince the Nova that we're not trying to pull a fast one on them.
Yeah, but what if his leg
we'll
could have
prove-
gotten
we'll leave him here,
infected?
he's collateral.
Yeah, but like he was injured.
He left, didn't he?
Well, Flock said he'd be fine for a few hours. So I trust what the doctor said. Always trust what your doctor tells you.
Hmm. Well, there's like, I've got my own personal thoughts on that, but I'm not sure if I should share them.
Do your thoughts contain profanity or offensive imagery?
No.
Well then,
I don't know.
Well,
I'm just
what?
okay. So I'm just going to trust the person who's had 10 years or so of medical training over myself, who's had a semester of biology in high school.
That's true. But if I always trusted my doctor who saw me as a pain in my butt because I had because of my disability, I would never ever gotten medical treatment for my chronic condition. I had to really fight for a specialist.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you want like a second opinion or more testing, or I can't fault you there, but
I don't know. I just feel bad for him. He literally had to sit in this cold, messy cavern with a bullet in his leg for hours. It's hard not to feel bad for him. Must have been uncomfortable. But I suppose he got a good experience out of it, because he was able to communicate with the Novans and talk to them, and they were able to communicate with each other. They didn't hurt him, and they could have. And they fed him.
Mhm.
They played music for him because they could probably see he was scared and uncomfortable. Or at least that's what I saw.
I don't know. It wasn't so. So I always thought that scene was just them playing music, just because that was one of the things that they did. That was part of the culture. So that's kind of how I looked at it. I never looked at it from the perspective of they're trying to make Malcolm comfortable, but
Again, it's open to interpretation, I guess.
Mhm.
so
I
how
mean-
would you feel if aliens took you hostage?
For what purpose?
Like if you were in that landing party and the Novans took you hostage, how would you feel?
I'm honestly not sure.
It depends on how they're treating me. I mean, yeah, there would always be like some anxiety that goes along with it, but like, are they hurting me, or are they threatening me, or I mean, depending on how they're like, their behavior would determine, I guess, my anxiety or fear level, I guess.
I don't know, like, they didn't seem to hurt Malcolm. They just probably wanted to get a better look at him. So they grabbed him because he was a little slower than the others. They wanted to get to know him better, and grabbing is probably the only way they know how to get to know him better.
Mhm.
That's my thought. What's yours?
Sorry, kindly repeat the question.
Well, what's your thought on that? We've shared ours. Your turn.
Oh. That's how I said, repeat the question so I know what we're talking about.
Well, you asked us a question. We gave our
And I already
thought.
forgot what it was.
Like, how would we feel if the Novans took
Oh,
us
if I were the
hostage?
hostage, I
Yeah.
would have been like, okay, I did sign that recruiting paper, that recruitment form. This is what I get. So since I'm gonna be stuck here with a bullet in my leg, then we just make the best of it.
Are you really that calm under pressure?
I try to be.
Oh, well, then I would.
Because yelling and
absolutely do that.
cursing isn't gonna help me anyway. They probably put a bullet in my head instead.
You would be admirable company for a board games night or something. Admirable company, because I don't think you'd get that competitive.
Why, you do a D&D night?
Not D&D. I'm slow as heck at D&D because I don't understand all the dice.
Well, when you use the 6-side dice as opposed to the 20-side dice.
I don't understand all the dice.
And I used to have a tube of those. Actually, no, I did not. I would have to go to my local comic book shop and get the dice required.
I'm talking about like cards or phase 10 or something like that.
Oh, like Magic the Gathering
Not Magic, no.
or Pokemon?
Thank you.
Man, I thought you don't know your card games?
No.
Jake, Cat, any ideas?
I don't know. I don't play board games or card games or anything like that. So
Okay, wow. All right. So they found this history. And, you know, when you find history that's shocking, what do you do with it?
Do you believe or disbelieve? That's the question.
Because it's like not all history is necessarily believable or history that you want to believe. When you're told history of someone or something, I mean, you don't necessarily, like, people can either be open to learning or they can allow themselves to be trapped in ignorance and just say, okay, you're full of crap. I'm not going to believe you and I'm not going to like you for trying to sell this to me as history. You know? Thankfully, the Enterprise crew believed this is history and they tried to teach these Novans, hey, this is your history. You should be open to it and you should be open to our help. You know?
Yeah, but the time traveling guy in the blue jumpsuit, the blue flight suit, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a point so you can figure out what I'm talking about.
so I'm gonna go take a quick break. I'll be back in a few minutes.
Okay.
Oh, right. I was referring to the fact that Scott Bakula was in Quantum Leap.
I thought that's what it was. I wasn't sure. I haven't seen Quantum Leap, but I figured time traveling guy. Who else could that be? But yeah, it's really about Enterprise really wanted to help the Novans, whether or not they wanted it, but we have to be careful, you know, in terms of helping people.
Yeah.
Because not everybody wants help. Some people are comfortable with the beliefs and the information that they have. And if you try to give them more, they get upset.
Oh, yeah.
If you try to enlighten them or teach them or try to drag them out of, I call ignorance the darkness of ignorance. And as I said before, if people keep up their intolerances, there's just going to be two types of people in the end, ignorant people and broken people. And if you try to enlighten people out of their ignorance, they're just going to say a lot of hurtful things and create more broken people.
People hate having their illusions and their beliefs altered in any way, shape, or form. Because it's like it's been said before. I know I failed with the exact wording of it, but the message is this, right? Yeah, kind of something I heard on Doctor Who. Now, the very rich, I mean, not the very rich, the very powerful and the very stupid have something in common. They don't alter their beliefs to fit the facts. They alter the facts to fit their beliefs.
And that's basically what gaslighting is, isn't it?
No, that's when you're trying to deliberately make somebody think they're crazy Usually so you can take advantage of them.
Yeah, but that's like altering facts and making a person think that they're at fault, isn't it?
Yeah, they don't alter their views to fit the facts. They alter the facts to fit their views. No, because that's a choice, Heather. That's the difference. Gaslighting, you don't have a say in it, but
That's true. I don't know. I'm not up to date on all social terms, but I've had enough experiences to understand that there are really two types of people, the ignorant and the broken. And there's a middle ground, but that middle ground is shrinking the more people live and the more they experience. And I know it's a grim reality, and I know you look sad to hear that.
do I look sad?
A little bit.
Hold on. Let me get the tissue.
I love you and your tissues. You're so very kind. But
Okay, that was unexpected.
sorry.
I thought you were gonna threaten me with a cannoli again.
I've been unwell all weekend, so I don't have the strength to go running for cannolis today.
Oh, poor Heather.
It is what it is. So they gave this history to the Novans, and like Phlox did a gesture of goodwill. He cured Nadette's cancer, and then Archer was like, "This is your history. You should embrace it." And eventually the one Novan did. She's like, "This is me. We are human." And she tried to persuade the others to embrace their history and their reality, but I don't know if they ever did or they ever will. But we should own our history. We should own that.
Yeah.
If we keep going as we are, there's only going to be two categories of people, the ignorant and the broken. Because tolerance is not love.
No, it's not. I agree with you there.
And yet people don't seem to choose anything but tolerance, and they think tolerance is love, and yet they don't even strive
That's
for
because they
tolerance.
don't have to take ownership of their biases.
People choose intolerance more than anything else anymore. They're performative about their tolerance. They do it in public, and yet in private, they're quite unwelcoming to what they don't understand. Just like the Novans were unwelcoming to the new information that disrupted their realities and their discomfort or their comfort level. If we don't welcome new information and new ideas and different people into our realities, we're not going to learn, we're not going to grow, we're not going to be happy.
Well, you never do stop learning.
Right.
But usually young people think, oh, once I deal with high school or college, I'm done.
Right. We never do stop learning, but intolerance. Hi, Jake.
Yeah.
Intolerance is such a terrible disease, and people don't seem to want to get better.
All right, we were just talking, just to fill them in. People don't change their beliefs to fit the facts. They change the facts to fit their beliefs. What do you make of that?
So a couple different thoughts. So imagine that we have like filters that I don't know, and when we're receiving information, it gets filtered through the filter, and we don't always see the world the same way as people with like different filters. Either certain facts are like colored a certain way, or like we miss facts, or maybe we even think that other people might be lying or misinformed about what they think the facts are. So serves a couple different, I think it serves like a couple different things. One, it helps them maintain their identity or how they think the world is. Or two, they just lack the self-awareness to realize what they're doing, and they can't help to see the world in the way that they see it.
Okay.
Mhm. Misconstrued information comes as a result of gossip, number one, and gossip's an ugly thing and it should be terminated. And people's lack of awareness isn't always their fault. Sometimes it is, and that's called the darkness of ignorance, and sometimes it's called neurodivergency, because some people can't control how they see things or how they do things. People try to cure themselves of neurodivergency through altering their behaviors, but sometimes they can't.
Mhm.
But other ways to prevent misconstrued information: stop gossiping, stop hating. If people are struggling due to the after effects of gossip, just stop gossiping and own the fact that you're trying to cause hurt by misconstruing history or things that you hear, you know? Because it
I
does
know,
no, what?
I know I'm guilty of misconstruing or misinterpreting what other people may say. So, and this made me to make some bad assumptions about things or people. So,
Oh, I think we're all guilty of that. But, it's possible, the thing about history is that it's full of people making bad assumptions based on first impressions. They see somebody, they hear things, and then they get scared of each other. Like, people get scared of each other based on what they see or hear or misunderstand. But the good thing about it is that there's always room to improve and always opportunities to do better. We can always avoid repeating history if we commit to doing better each and every day. Because we're always exploring ourselves and exploring humanity and exploring each other. IDIC is about exploring each other and being willing to grow beyond our current selves. Yeah. And as long as we're willing to grow, as long as we're willing to change, as long as we're always willing to grow beyond our current selves, willingly and knowingly, and never afraid to admit our faults and admit that we're always imperfect, you know what? Then there's hope for us. And we shouldn't be ashamed of admitting our imperfections, admitting our need to grow, because we're only human. But the minute we just say we're too perfect and we're done growing, then we're kind of screwing ourselves out of opportunities to be better. But if we admit our faults, if we realize that we have weaknesses, but we're trying to do better, then we're all right. And there's always forgiveness when you make mistakes, especially when in relation to other people. If you hurt other people through your false assumptions, if you hurt other people through actions you take out of fear, apologize. Apologize and be willing to love them based on what you see from them, based on what you feel from them. Don't rely on the gossip from other people. Learn to love people for what you see from them, not based on what you hear from others.
True, but people tend to think that others have already done the research, so you don't have to, which leads to a lot of misconceptions.
You know what? The best research that people can get about one another is by watching one another, not by talking behind each other's backs.
Oh, you should have heard some of the stuff people have said about me behind my
Oh.
back.
You should really hear some of the stuff people have said and are saying about me.
I already have.
So have I.
Of course, you told me.
So have I. And I'm sure it will continue, but you know, I'm only human. And I'll do what I can to live in this world, even though there are people who would rather I not. I'm a part of IDIC, as are we all. And I have a right to exist in my own space of diversity, even if people don't think I do. And we have a right to exist in our own facets of diversity, and we have a right to exist and find joy among each other. Yeah, does anybody have any closing comments?
Besides, sorry, what's the cat's name again?
Baby,
Baby?
early Franken. Baby, yeah.
Well, I guess he or she would say, I know, yeah, think dark stuff is scary stuff, but there is always light at the end of the tunnel. Take that as you will. How's that?
That's lovely. Really be unafraid to grow, be unafraid to open your mind, open your heart to new possibilities, be unafraid to appreciate who you are and who others are. Watch them, learn from them. Don't rely on gossip to learn. Don't rely on gossip for your education. Get your education from watching people and learning from them and appreciating them for who they really are. Because then you'll see what a gift others truly are, and you'll see what a gift you truly are from the patience and the love and the compassion you develop just by being around them. Because we are all unique and we are all blessings. And if we can't learn that about ourselves and each other, then we've truly learned nothing about humanity. And if we can't make first contact with each other, if we can't learn to appreciate each other, then we know nothing about humanity.
And that's why the aliens don't want to talk to us right now.
Because we have enough trouble talking to each other in a proper manner or loving each other.
Yes.
Maybe when we learn to love each other and appreciate each other as we should, maybe we'll get some alien contact.
Okay.
All right.